Alright, so should I even do an intro? I'll do an intro. So this video is going to be about Payload Badwater. I'm currently on the newest version of Payload Badwater, which is V11. Say that? No, this is V9. This is V9. I'll go over the changes that are going to be in V11, which might be in this next season. But this was the current last version played of Badwater Pro. Major changes. I'll go over them as I go through how the map plays out. And hopefully this will explain to people who don't know why Badwater is a bad map for Highlander. I don't know anything about 7s because they played it in 7s too, and it looked like since they have 2 less players, it played a little bit better. But it's still pretty bad for Highlander. Definitely one of the worst payload maps that is proposed to be in the rotation, if not the worst. So starting off on first, the meta spot to hold is up here. Everybody knows this. It's been the same for about 4 million years. The cart track goes underneath it. So what you'll commonly see is a couple sack waves, maybe force the med, get an engineer pick or something like that. And the cart will usually get to around here. And then it'll stall out, and then offense is left with a number of things that they could do for pushing. And there's only one that really works every single time, which is I'll talk about. So the meta push a really long time ago, it used to be to push this here cliff, and you'd usually get forced around here or something like that. Walk in through here, kill gun, force, Uber exchange, yada yada yada. Try to push cart while it's distracted. While the gun's getting wrangled and shit like that. Sorry, people are messaging me. This is bad nowadays because people realize that you can Uber your pyro, and when you Uber your pyro, the pyro just air blasts them into crater and you can't do anything. So it basically is a shit push. The other push is to push through tunnel and just kill the gun, but then you're not gonna force the red team with a push out of tunnel unless you like waste your entire Uber walking up this staircase here into them. So like, yeah, you'll kill the gun, but they're just gonna Uber and drop onto you, cart, wipe you, and then they can just rebuild the gun easily because you've only killed the gun. So the best push is probably the slow hill push, which is sniper, soldier, like pretty much everybody's sitting hill, shooting the gun and the sniper at the same time so you don't get sniped, trying to win the SVS, hoping that they get forced because of just the constant pressure so that they Uber off of the high ground into you and then you can counter pop and shit like that, and hope that that Uber ends well while maybe also pushing the cart at the same time. The great thing about the hill push is that, hold on, since they're forced to walk forward usually to get into you, and the cart caps behind them. If you can manage to cap the cart, you are pretty much guaranteed like at least a somewhat team wipe after you slog through trying to push this Badwater first point. Badwater first is like, it's pretty common to see teams stalemate on it because it's so hard to push because of that free high ground that they get, but it's not impossible, and it's definitely doable, especially when you get like demo man sacks in with the sniper and soldier spamming and shit like that. So in the Pro V9 version, the biggest difference is that this is a one-way shutter. That's why it says exit there. I'll go red because there's better things to do on red. So that one-way shutter, it works only for the red team. It stays closed as long as first is not capped, and it allows you to go into this area back here, right? So you can then if you're for some reason you've got forest and the blue Uber comes in, they destroy everything. Oh, and yeah, you can't go back in, by the way. It only goes in the one way. If the blue Uber gets forced, if the red Uber gets forced and blue is pushing high ground or some shit, and you want to just get out easily, keep your heals, you can do that in this version. Get out here. Probably not kite onto roof because going onto roof is pretty hard because the demo man soldier can bomb from up here, but it's at least it's safe enough that you'll probably be okay. In the stock version of Badwater, like the biggest reason that second becomes like a failed hold is because you don't have time to get set up on second because your team wipes backing out of first. And the reason you get wiped getting backed out of first is because of the super long sight line right here. That also has a majorly huge skybox that teams can just abuse and bomb constantly. The sniper can watch it pretty much for free as soon as he gets to like up here. Like you can see you leaving. And it's very dangerous to keep your meta alive because the soldier just does like fucking high bombs and shit to get in there. So yeah, back to second, now that we're talking about second. So backing out of first is really hard, just to sum up. Pushing first is alright, I guess. There's only one real good push for first that, like, works most of the time. So second, the roof hold isn't really viable anymore, for a number of reasons. Number one is, you're not on the cart to drop down, and it's very easy to spam the gun from over here with just this demo main and a soldier. So the gun, it's usually sat right here, is probably going to die instantly. And then, like, once that happens, the sniper can just sit on an ammo pack and take pot shots at your team. This area here doesn't really see that much use beyond, like, soldier bombs if the gun's already down, or even, like, post-uber things. Fucking Carl wants me to play the lobby. But it's not as important. The only time it becomes important is if blue is deciding to uber onto the back stairs or the front stairs. And then having control of these areas here is sort of important for the post-uber fight, so that you don't get collapsed on the roof in the post-uber, because it's super easy for a pyro to just air blast on the defensive side to do this. So most teams just end up pushing cart tracks and doing that kind of stuff, which works out really well. And the biggest reason, though, for not holding roof is if your roof hold falls apart and you want to leave, you can't leave because the enemy team is going to be sitting on tracks here. There's going to be this sniper sight line here. This is sort of mitigated by this post of wood that was put here in the pro version, but it doesn't block enough of it, right? The sniper can still sit here and shoot you as you're crossing. Soldiers can still do high bombs off of that wall, and like they're already going to be playing around here because the cart caps around here, so you have to like wipe the team, hopefully, and then you can back out. So most teams nowadays, they don't hold up there, they just hold up here, right on the ground here. They'll have their sniper playing this wall or some shit, maybe their soldier up there just to make sure that they don't give it up too easily. And yeah, just it's a soft hold pretty much, like, because the third hold was, at least in the stock version, much better than the second hold. So backing up out of the second hold as well, it's a lot easier. You have a health pack that's pretty safe in case you get bombed. It's kind of scary from boiler if they bomb up on the boiler, but it's usually okay. And it's a narrow area, so like they can't it's pretty hard to surf around that and land anywhere forward beyond here. So it's usually pretty safe to back out of. So in this V9 version, big difference is this catwalk of Pro Badwater. And the biggest difference on third is this wide staircase, which makes the spy able to go up and have an easy job getting to the sentry gun that sits in window, which is the meta spot. It's the meta spot because this lip here and the distance from the cart tracks and all the major areas you would uber out of, and the Wrangler existing means that gun's extremely hard to kill without like a sap in with the uber. So in the stock version of Badwater, the normal uber would look like you would just have to solo uber your demo man and then hope you kill the gun, which is impossible with Rescue Ranger Wrangler, because since the spy can't get up because of the dispenser block that exists at the stock version staircase here, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I go over V11 real quick, which is the newest version. Having the sentry gun have this little lip here and have the engineer be able to stand like all the way back here and just wrangle Rescue Ranger it constantly with a dispenser next to him means that the gun doesn't die. Red's Uber doesn't get forced. They just walked around this corner here and wait for the blue Uber to pet her out because the gun's not going to die. So with that, the demo man's probably going to get launched, take 200 damage when the gun's unwrangled, and then Red Uber, they don't even have to a good team doesn't even have to use to refight because they're all going to be on the slow ground here, or even on this, getting shot by the gun. You just retake third, and it's not that big a deal. But now, on the Pro version, V9, you do have the capability of Spy to get up there. And you have this line here, which is slightly different from the boiler line here. Being able to walk on this catwalk and do this here. This is great because the gun doesn't shoot you as you're walking in for a good part, but you still manage to get kind of close. And you're not in this major sight line that's right here, which is the deep boiler sight line. The sniper has to be standing on one of these, which he would already be seen if your sniper is playing boiler, which they should be. So from here, it's like much easier to get the stab, not the stab, well, the stab and sap, Uber and kill that. Probably force them as well, because they don't want to kite all the way back to this corner. They need to be able to contest cart post Uber. And you just end your Uber right here. They're sitting over there. You have your soldier scout, yada yada. Get this high ground up here, because you cleared out that engineer nest, so they can take that for free. And you just sort of just take the third point. It makes it much easier than the stock version. Yeah, because on the stock version, the soldier bombing onto a pallet right here, it gets shut down by the gun as soon as he walks into this area, and like a pyro can just really easily just walk up the stairs and flush him out. So let's talk about last, which is the biggest issue with Badwater by far. Also I need to talk about forward spawns too. The other reason that third is really hard to push is because on the stock version, your spawn is all the way back here still before you cap third. That's like a super long run up for any class that isn't scout, soldier, or demo man. So having a teleporter is really important, but then there's a spy class for the defending team, who just can like, if you just focus the teleporter on Badwater third defense as spy, like you're probably gonna win the game. You could just win the game off of that because it is actually just that strong to have, because the run up time is so long. Because of that super long run-up time, like, you don't really get spawn advantage for being on offense. Like, if you trade 50-50, you're probably, both teams are going to have whatever class died arrive back at the fight at around the same time without teleporters. And it's the same thing for second as well. It's a pretty long run-up for second even, because of just how long this hill is. Oh yeah, so for last, the only real difference is you have this staircase, a ramp in here, which, like, honestly, it's nice, but it's not really a big issue because there's spawn warping. So you can, like, warp to the lower spawn. I don't think I can because the lower spawn hasn't opened technically because I haven't capped the cart. But, like, if you're lower and you want to, if you're going to spawn camp lower or something like that, or you want to be a sniper and you want to get onto the upper area, you can just spawn warp and you'll be fine. So, while that's nice, it's not really that big a deal. You just have to know the game mechanics. So pushing last, generally what happens is strong Ubers usually come out of map room or tires here. The tires one is generally more favored because you don't have to compromise high ground. If you take this high ground here and you manage to push the sniper out of that spawn and that spawn at the same time, you can usually just shoot down and have your cart pushers be free to push the car as much as possible. And then when you have your Uber and shit, you just drop down, kill the gun that might be here. The gun's over there, it's pretty easy to kill as well. The engineer's like caught in a corner here, so just focus the engineer and the gun will go down pretty fast. Red at that time, usually they'll be playing around here. They just kite into spiral or they kite into lower spawn. So you probably aren't going to get a red Uber force. So what that means is that when you're doing this, your Uber ends on this low ground here because you had to drop to kill the gun. Unless you were smart and went the opposite side of whatever gun the drop down is and just had your demo man get free spam, and the demo man got lucky with that free spam and managed to live. And kill the engineer on the gun and shit, but you're probably gonna have to use because this is UGC Platinum, and you're gonna have to drop down to kill that engineer. And so yeah, so the red team kites, and then they just Uber back into you, and you die. That's like best case scenario for red. A lot of the times when you drop down, red just might use immediately to save their engineer, which is a really smart play. but then you're still stuck with your Uber stuck on low ground, and then their respawns are coming from the high ground there. And the cart is also getting pushed right by where you're standing, so like it's everybody on their team just like looks right at the cart, and your cart dies. So like, what you need to, it takes like 2 good pushes, I would say, to really clear out bad water last. And that is, the first push is the one where you clear the engineer out and wipe and force the engineer on minis, and then when you're at that point, then you just sit up here and have your cart pushers push, and you spawn camp all the spawns at the same time and try to do that. If you don't do that, and if you're not able to keep the sniper down, you're gonna die, because the sniper can just like peek out of here, one of these 2 areas here, and you're standing on high ground here, and you're gonna die. Same thing with map room. If you stand map room, like the sniper can shoot from over there in map room, and he can shoot from over here in map room. When this fence is down, this sight line is pretty strong right here, and just stepping over here, you can see into there. And the sniper can rotate between these pretty freely. Oh, my scrim's over, pals? Yeah. I'm just going over bad water right now because it needs to be gone over. So, bad water last then. If you don't manage to kill the sniper before you push, you're probably not going to be able to finish the push, because the sniper can just rotate between those 2 spawn doors. And the cart has a super long way to go to get into last right here. Like, look at how long this is to come down this hill, and it rolls backwards up the hill, because fuck you, right? You have to go super far. The cart usually just sits right here until you actually get your Uber in, because the sniper has pretty free shots from there. Like, again, I can't stress enough how fucking dumb the sniper is on this fucking point. Because even if your soldier and shit goes into map room, woo, and they jump up here, and they go through this, and then their snipers, oh, I did a rocket. This, like, the sniper can just walk into spawn. Like, your soldier has to, like, the sniper just has to have a small brain and just, like, say, hey, is there a soldier coming at me from over there? And they just walk into spawn and rotate to this side. And your soldier can't walk forward to over here, because there's a sentry gun. It's either there or it's over there. So as soon as he tries to jump over to where the sniper is going to be over here, like, he's fucking dead, because he's jumped into a sentry gun. So the sniper's like pretty much uncontested. You can only really hope on your SVS, which is like a 50-50 shot, unless you have like Andrew, Barry Center, Boar on your team, which is not most teams. And even then, like, it's pretty easy to play like these boxes and shit like that. But usually the sniper on blue will at least have a buff, because he'll be playing with the medic, whereas the red medic will be on the low ground 99.9% of the time, so it's good. How do you push on? It's the same. If it's the pushing on last is the same regardless of where the gun is. You have to take positioning in either map room or tires, and your Uber, if you're lucky, your demo man can just freely spam down into the gun nest and kill the engineer and the gun. It's not gonna happen though, because these are platinum level engineers. Maybe in like a lower div, it's possible, but at the highest division, like, guns don't die unless you kill the engineer on this point, because they have, look at, like, there's 200 ammo packs. Like, what are you gonna do against that on both sides? So yeah, that's bad water last. My biggest change that I would like to see played with on this map is moving this closer to here, because if your team is holding this high ground and your cart pushers die, then you have to have another player drop down off the high ground and fight the low ground here, and hope that that works out. Assuming all things are equal with numbers and shit, because if you wipe red, then you're probably going to have everybody drop down and just try to push that card in as quickly as possible with bodies, and even then it's not guaranteed. But you're just slowly bleeding players onto this cart if you're not able to clear out the red team, so it's not like a push that you can do slow like a Borneo or Swiftwater or something like that. You have to wipe red team, and you have to commit to not pushing the cart with the majority of your team, and you have to commit to staying in a sniper sight line to be able to push this. So yeah, putting the point over here so that it's not as far, so that you don't have to be standing up there for so long. That would be my #1 change that I would like to see in a pro version of Batwater coming to a map near you. But yeah, apart from that, Bad Water Last is stock across all versions, because it's like, it's fundamentally flawed. You have this dumb high ground that Red gets when they respawn, but they can just spawn warp in, because, like, I mean, this doesn't matter. You can just spawn warp. Whoops. And yeah, so that's pro version V9 of why Bad Water is bad. Most teams hate it because since the first 3 points, especially on the pro version, are really easy to push now, and even more so now with V11, which I'll talk about in a second. It's like, it's impossible, because first is a good team can take that within like a minute or two. Second's a gimme. Third is basically a gimme. And even if you wipe on third, since the cart has a pretty long way to go, you can probably get set up enough on last that you can hold it for 6 or 7 minutes. So I'm gonna load up the newest version, which is being considered for play in UGC this season. That's not the version, which is V11. The biggest changes and the only changes between these two maps. Hello. Get on red. Oh, I forgot to talk about the forward spawn. Okay, so before I do that, I'm already spoiling it, but on third as well for blue, to make it even easier for blue, instead of having that super long run up, you have a forward spawn here, which is sort of closer, and you have a forward spawn here for last. Last is an issue for spawns as well, because it's a pretty long run up to get to last, which makes it again like defense. They spawn, they're at last. Blue, if you don't have a teleporter, you have a very long run up, so like any sort of spawn numbers advantage you get for being on offense, because you have faster spawns, is like pretty much negated if you have no teleporter or a level 1 teleporter. So let's talk about first. So first I removed the one-way shutter here. So it's the same as stock. You can see they removed the red exit sign to help denote that. So leaving first now, if you want to leave first safely, you have to leave before the cart gets to like around here pretty much, because otherwise you're going to probably wipe as you're exiting. And you're definitely not going to walk up on the house. You're definitely going to be holding the low ground here, because you have to like super long run up to get on top of roof here to do that shit. On third, we have the removal of this catwalk, so this really easy way to push third is gone, and we have the return of the narrow staircase from stock Bad Water. However, if I get on the engineer class, the map maker has made the stairs no build, so an engineer cannot block it with his shit. See, so this is where you would put the dispenser normally on stock Bad Water to block the spy from getting up. Now you place it here, and you can jump over. NBD. I wonder, actually, can you make this whole thing? Yeah, he no-builded the whole stairs. So you still have the same easiness for pushing third off of that. It's a little bit harder now because you have to either, oh, is this wider? This is wider. I feel like this is wider. It still won't help that much. This is still way too easy for a pyro to air blast. Pyro can still stuff you there. If you want to Uber out a boiler, you have to pop as soon as you're around that corner, unless you have a sniper pick, because it's a fucking huge sight line. And you still have a super long run up to kill the gun, but if you can sap the gun, just take 2 stickies. Wow! So, third's bad, and then last is exactly the same. No changes. Still have the useless ramp here, and you still have the super long spawn walk without the thing that goes through boiler, and that pretty much is it. So, yeah, Bad Water is like fundamentally flawed, people. If you like Bad Water as a map and you enjoy pubbing on it, that's totally fine. I can get with the times. Like, Bad Water is the pub map, you can play it. But for like competitive Highlander play, this is definitely changed. Hold on. For competitive Highlander, it's not good. It's basically you're only holding last. You can literally wipe on every single point on as the defensive team and just hold last for 9 minutes and you'll be fine. Yeah, so this is wider here. I was not hallucinating. So that is it, I believe. It's ass cheeks in general. Yeah, like pubbing it nowadays for me is like not really fun. It is changed here. So yeah, this is like this change hasn't done anything to change it because like this air blast is like it's the same width as an air blast. You just get air blasted here. So yeah, pubbing it is like kind of aids as well because you have all the fucking filthy tryhards who play fucking demo, medic combo, heavy medic, heavy soldier, not heavy soldier, medic. They just have like medics and sweaty demo men who try really hard to win on bad water casuals. So pubbing it for me isn't that enjoyable. You can talk to Monkey about how much he fucking hates it. But yeah, so bad water's bad. I would be interested in seeing how it would play with the V11 change to third, to change third to be a little bit harder to push, but then also moving the capture point over to here. I would like to see how that plays out, but I don't think that's ever going to happen because the map maker is, from what I understand, is not really responsive to changes, unfortunately, because I think he's just busy man. Because we've had V9 for couple years now, and like it really is the same. Like nothing really is good about it. So yeah, that about does it for me. Might talk about how to play PL Vigil if that ever gets put back in the map pool. Probably won't because some people have no brains. But Vigil's a fun map. I prefer that over this, and I would definitely prefer Borneo or Swiftwater over this map. So yeah, that's the end of me talking about this. Peace out, YouTube. I'll be streaming live, twitch.tv/pals, scrims, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all season long. Get your Highlander fixin' of Platinum Heavy. And that covers it. Peace out. Alright, now I can actually talk about shit.